All right, here we go. Did that launch? Yes. Okay. So we decided to do this two-part webinar series because we wanted to make sure that people know that it's important to make their documents and websites accessible. And we sense that most people do know it's important, but we weren't sure if people knew how to do it. So last week's session was really on formatting, technology, the technological aspects of making documents and websites accessible. And today's session is really about the words that we use and the look of our message. Because so many times we get information in the mail or in emails that's really hard to understand. And we can do a better job of making communication easy to read so that everyone understands and can do what they need to do to live the lives they want. So I'd like to introduce Priscilla Badeau and Sydney Badeau, who are with People First Wisconsin. They've been doing tons of great work regarding plain language over the last few years, and so they're going to be sharing that with us. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to them. Thank you so much.
All right, so we're going to be talking about plain language and how to communicate clearly. So a quick overview. Why is plain language important? What is plain language? What are some plain language steps and how to advocate for plain language? And on the graphic on the right, it says it's okay to avoid pineapple on pizza, standing on a Lego, being locked out of your car, forgetting your computer password, and walking into glass doors, but don't avoid talking about disability or being disabled. It's kind of supposed to be a joke because I'm kind of funny. As Priscilla.
Very. It's a very funny.
This is Andy. Can I just throw out, Sydney, I disagree a little bit with avoiding pineapple on pizza. I just want to tell you that I absolutely love Hawaiian pizza. So I have to just, I stand to correct you on that.
Yeah, I actually do too, but I didn't make that graphic in particular.
Okay.
Yeah, most people don't know that it's delicious. My son introduced me to it as well, so it is different but
It
tasty.
is. Yes, absolutely.
All right, so I am Priscilla Battle. I'm a self-advocate leader and a peer mentor intern, People First of Wisconsin. And then Cindy, you want to do your
Yeah.
introduction?
I'm Sydney. I'm an advocacy and outreach specialist for People First Wisconsin and the ARC Wisconsin.
And today we're going to be doing, can you go back? What is plain language? Plain language is writing and talking so everyone can understand. Okay, next.
I'm an advocacy and outreach specialist for People First and the ARC Wisconsin. I'm also on BPDD board and WISPAC board, and I'm on the non-driver transportation committee, and I'm on the Survival Coalition, and I'm a partners in policymaking graduate.
You are a busy, busy, busy person, and we love it. Once again, I am Priscilla Battle, self-advocate of People First of Wisconsin, career mentor intern with ODC, and I am a small business owner of Shimmering Creations and Decor Unlimited.
Okay.
Yeah,
People
that's you.
First, People First Wisconsin is an advocacy organization run by and for people with disabilities. We have local chapters throughout Wisconsin. We help people with disabilities speak up about healthcare, voting, employment, housing, long-term care, and transportation.
Tell us about you. Please take our poll. Do you identify as a self-advocate, professional working in the field of disability? Are you a family member or a guardian or a care provider?
Okay, I've launched the poll.
Yes, and it is tallying pretty quick. I love it.
So you guys can see
Oh.
that, is that right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay,
So
awesome.
we
I'll let
have
you
a
guys.
lot of professionals on here. And we have a couple self-advocate or person with disabilities. Hopefully we can get those advocates up because we all should be advocating for ourselves. We got to get the word out there. So we are going to give it a few more seconds and then we are going to move on. Thank you all for participating.
This is
I love that
Andy.
this work. I love it when technology works. All right.
This is
So
Andy.
yes.
I just want to let you know that I actually could not respond to the survey, and I think it's because I am a co-host. So I'll just let you know that I would choose both. I would choose two of these. I would choose. Let's see here. I identify as a self-advocate because I am a deaf individual, and I am also a professional working in the field of disabilities. So I am
Right.
the
So we got
director of outreach, and I focus on support for deaf, hard of hearing, and deaf-blind people.
nice. That adds one to each of our um totals
Right.
because two of them we don't have anyone for two. So so far so good. We'll keep moving along. Thanks for taking our polls.
So why did you join this workshop? Feel free to share in the chat.
Plain language advocate. All right. Let me see. What else can I see? I'm always looking for better ways to communicate. We all should. That is a very good reason to grow my knowledge of plain language and apply it consistently. Great. To learn more about alt text and like my computer is doing funky stuff. It keeps scrolling. Um, let's see. I made it bigger. Um, Sydney, you can take it from here if you want to
Yeah,
read a
it's going
couple.
pretty quickly.
It is.
It looks like Steph said to support Sid and Priscilla and learn. Someone said so that we can review our resources website and make sure we are as accessible as possible.
Great. And
And
I see Jenny says if it helps your data collection, and I also identify in two categories and a professional and a family member. Thanks, Jenny. Thank you all for sharing. So when you use plain language, more people understand and remember your message. People are motivated to act quickly and correctly. Everyone spends less time answering questions, explaining, and fixing mistakes. We save time, money, energy, and even lives. All those things are important.
so when plain language isn't used during work, self-advocates have to stop presenters and ask questions. And people with disabilities can get frustrated if they don't understand the meaning. And it makes people not understand things the first time. And if it's in plain language, it helps them understand so they can keep listening and paying attention rather than losing focus. So plain language gives people more power. Lots of settings have unbalanced relationships with each one person having more power than the other. Job coach and employee, doctor and patient, case manager and client, teacher and parent. We need to be careful not to speak at people or over people. When we use plain language, we understand each other better. People can and participate more in conversations and meetings.
What's your experience? Please share in chat. Where have you experienced information you didn't understand? Oh my goodness, this should be interesting because you never think sometimes that information can be challenging. Well, they don't. We do, but they don't think it's challenging. Just put it out there and let us fend for ourselves. How did it make you feel when you got those documents or information and you really couldn't understand or relate to it? How did it make you feel? Um, have you noticed unbalanced relationships in meetings? Have you gone to the doctor and you didn't understand what they were saying? That happens to me all the time. Are you trying to get transportation? They have a whole lot of words and rules and you still don't know, still don't know what that means. So in our chat, so tax code, yes, frustrated. I get it. Legal documents feel uneducated. I can understand that as well. I spent most of my day translating Social Security and Medicaid letters and documents. Oh, to my clients, we all get frustrated. Yes, even without a disability, we get frustrated sometimes. Health insurance benefits is so very frustrating. It definitely is. I often ask my interpreter or to translate emails containing sophisticated English language because English is my second language. It made me feel overwhelmed and stressed. Thanks for sharing. Cindy, do you see any that you would like to read?
Jenny said terms of service are hard to understand and they frustrate her. And Steph said letters from Social Security make her nervous.
Mm-hmm.
What is plain language? Plain language is communication your reader understands the first time they read it. Communication your listener understands the first time they hear it. The reader or listener can find what they need, understand what they find, and act on what they read or hear.
I love our graphics. We both have a sense of humor, so I love the graphics. Plain language is about the words you use. For example, before, when the process of freeing a vehicle that has been stuck results in ruts or holes. The operator will fill the rut or hole created by such activity before moving the vehicle from the immediate area. Blah, 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 blah. It's how that makes me feel. So after, all they needed to say was, if you make a hole while freeing a stuck vehicle, you must fill the hole before you drive away. Please and thank you. Like, it's that simple. And we have more, we have links on these pages where you can click and get more information. So you can copy and paste that so you can have it for later, but you'll have access to this. It'll be available later for you to get as well.
Plain language is also about how you organize information. So for example, on the left, it says, "Dear families, we appreciate all of your support during this snowy wintry season. Whenever the district has to make decisions about whether to cancel school because of weather, we consult with the local meteorologists, city employees, transportation providers, and the police department. The safety of our students and staff is our main priority. Please know that we do not take this decision lightly. Due to the upcoming winter storm, we are canceling school and all extracurricular activities tomorrow. So something to keep in mind with plain language is to put the most important information at the top. So if people start skimming, they don't miss it. And they put the most important information at the bottom. And so the after result is, dear families, we are canceling school and all after school activities tomorrow because of the winter storm. The safety of our students and staff is our main priority. We made this difficult decision after talking with local experts. Thank you for your ongoing support.
And the other thing, if you look at these two white spaces, I learned that from Sydney. Like it's in one paragraph and it's all clustered together. But when you put it with the spaces in between, you can get to the important information and see that right away. So I loved learning that from Sydney because I didn't know what was frustrating me when I was reading it all clustered together like that. And it's so much easier to read and understand when your eyes have a time to get the white spaces to understand. Okay, we can go. And besides, have you ever heard anyone complain that a public document is too clear? I've never heard that. I don't think it's a thing, unless it's a blank sheet of paper. Write your own. Attorney Joseph Kimball, plain language, gained awareness in government in the 1970s, Plain Writing Act of 2010. Makes it easier for public to read, understand, and use government communication. The goal is to express, not impress. How many people are always trying to impress with a bunch of big words no one understands most of the time? Or if it's half and half, you're not too impressive if only the room is half impressed. Look at those signs. An example of information shared in a confusing way. I hate when the signs go when I go out of town and the parking signs look like this and you have no clue of what to do, which one is which. And by the time you go through all those colors, all those words, all those different timings, what does it really mean? So this is what they have, and the next one is what it should look like. Much better. You don't have to figure out what it's trying to tell you. And I love this way of this parking site. I don't see it too often, but they need to all take a clue and do this.
So much easier to understand.
Mm-hmm.
So these are some plain language steps. These are from our plain language guide that the People First team created. So step 1 is print off the document if needed. Step 2, highlight or underline parts that do not make sense. Step 3, use a dictionary or a thesaurus to understand a word. Step 4, change the highlighted parts to words that are easier to understand. Step 5, make sure sentences are direct and show action. Step 6, add bullet points and break up a lot of text to make it easier to look at. Step 7, review your changes. Before you start to write, think about your audience. Who is your audience? What do they need to know? There's a difference between need to know and nice to know. What is the purpose of your communication? And why is this message important to them? So one way you can think about that is when you're sending emails, rather than just carrying on about something random at the beginning, just get right to the point. So it's always good to start with the most important information first. This image is about a eye scan where it shows with the red, that's where people's eyes stay the most. Like people start reading, and then after a while, they start skimming the document or whatever they're reading. So if you put the most important information at the bottom, they're not likely to read it.
Keep it short. Don't use more words than you need. Cut out modifiers. Absolutely, actually, really, very, and totally. Start a new sentence for each new idea. Don't crunch all of those ideas into one sentence. Aim for 20 words or less per sentence. 20 words is a long sentence. So hopefully we're using commas, periods, or just cutting those sentences down. Jenny would love that. We have don't say if the state secretary finds that an individual has received a payment to which the individual was not entitled, whether or not the payment was due to the individual's fault or misrepresentation, the individual shall be liable to repay to state to the sum of the payment to which the individual was not entitled. Tired from just reading that one. Way too many words. It would be nice if it just said, if the state agencies finds that you received a payment that you weren't entitled to, you must pay the entire sum back. How easy is that to remember? All the other stuff, I was so frustrated by the end of reading it. I forgot what they were trying to say in the beginning. Just give them their money back. Don't take what doesn't belong to you, or you're gonna have to pay it back.
So it's also important to pay attention to the look of your message and having white space. So white space just basically means hitting enter after a few sentences and making sure that everything isn't clumped together. One way you can do that is to use bullets or checklists to break up the text. You can also use bold for important information instead of all caps or underlining. Part of the problem with underlining is people might think it's a link and try to click on it. And to use 14 fonts or larger, and to use the fonts Verdana, Arial, Tahoma, Electivia, and Calibri. And you can see with the examples that it's much easier to read with the after example with the bullet points rather than with the before example where everything's all clumped together.
All right, it's time to practice. It has come to our attention that it will be necessary for you to provide further documentation verifying your residency. All right, all those words, and what could it have said? And someone put in the chat, what do you think would be the easy way to say this? Yeah, we need a document from you that shows where you live. We need to know your address. You need to give us more information so we can make sure you are a resident. Please provide proof of address. Yes, it has come to our attention that additional documents is ready to verify your residency. Okay. So please provide your proof of address. Gets right to it for me. I really like that one. But all of the other ones was much better than what
Yeah,
we had.
much more clear.
Mm-hmm.
So another practice is students must be prepared for class. They should do the homework each night and they should come to class with their questions about the homework. They also need to bring the required supplies. This includes a pad of paper, a pen or pencil, and the paperwork you submitted when you enrolled in the class.
I am so very tickled that they actually write like this when they send papers home with my grandchildren from school. Like, it's a lot of writing,
Mhm.
especially for elementary, and they still get it this long. Jenny says bullet list. Please bring to class and then do a bullet list. Yes, bullet list. We're getting the bullet list. Students must complete homework, bring questions, and arrive with required supplies, including. Good job, everyone.
So this is a complicated letter that Molly got in the mail. And I don't remember who she got it from, but it was so complicated, she just put it aside. And if it was something very important, she could have gotten into trouble. But if they had put it in plain language, maybe she would have taken action. So what strategies could we use to improve this letter? And so this isn't part of the letter, and it says, Dear Brian, we at Pension Benefit Company provide data security services to insurance companies, pension funds, and other organizations that provide similar services to their employees. Pension benefit companies monitors data security software regularly and definitely takes data breaches very seriously. We consistently update our software looking for weakness to each and every firewall due to a serious recent data breach. Pension benefit company is informing all clients about the possibility that their personal information has been stolen. You are one of these clients. Learn what you can do now. Who would just like throw that letter out and not figure out what they needed to do?
Absolutely. I know when I got my pension, I tossed my letter to the side and it had a check in it because it started off like this. The check was in the back of a bunch of other stuff, and I was 3 years on my retirement money. The workplace I was working closed down. So yeah, all these words can make you not pay attention to important stuff and not get your money. Apparently, it was asking for me to put it in another place, retirement fund, or they would send me a check. And since I didn't respond for 3 years, they sent the check. Oh, it says I do like that. Oh, let me see. Let me tap on it so I can see because it's moving fast again. Um, let me see. No, I don't see which one I was on. Bullet list companies. Oh, now it's not letting me see what we were writing. I do like when I do like that when legalized documents include bolded headings like why am I getting this or what do I need to do? Yes, that's important. Get straight to the point, or let me just read that part. Start with pension benefit company is informing all clients that their information has been stolen. Yes, your data may have been stolen, or what to do first. Those are good, get to the points. And it is okay to use I, you, and we instead of copies of medical records must be included. Say you must include copies of your medical records. Instead of grant application will be reviewed by May 30th, 2023, you say we will review grant applications by May 30th, 2023.
It's also important to use active voice and to write active sentences, which is subject, verb, object. For example, Sydney wrote a letter versus a letter was written by Sydney. And to use everyday words. Find an everyday word way to say it. Instead of there are no vacancies at this time. Try, we don't have any open positions now. Don't use jargon or acronyms. Instead of you need to sign the IPE, try you need to sign the individualized plan for employment. It's okay to use contractions. Instead of we will email you once we have received your application, try we'll email you once we've gotten your application.
All right, let's practice more. Copies of tax returns must be provided. How can we change that?
You
What do you
must
think?
provide copies of your tax returns.
Yes. Mail me your tax return. Straight to the point, Rachel. Yes. We need you to send us copies of your tax returns. Yes. Good job. We are getting these practices together. You must provide your copies of your tax returns. The applicant will be the primary source of information regarding his or her circumstances for the purpose of determining eligibility of need. How would we say that mouthful?
We will contact you to ask questions to determine your eligibility.
Okay. That was a good one.
Yeah, I don't know,
Anyone?
just trying to think it would depend on the perspective, right? If they're talking to in the first person, second person, or third person perspective.
Mm-hmm. Tax returns are always crazy. I usually call, like, what are you trying to tell me? Because I don't want to do the wrong thing and then you're taking my money. Um, so we need information from you to find out what assistance you can get. You are the source of the information that determines your eligibility. Information must be provided by the applicant. All right, so what do we have down? Thanks for sharing. You are the main source of information about your level of need. We use this information to decide whether you are eligible. I like it. The information you share with us helps us decide if you are eligible for this program. That would be really nice if DVR said their stuff like that. It would make things clearer for a lot of us.
Let's practice a little bit more. New guidelines have been made by the president in the hope that the length of documents submitted by departments will be restricted to 20 pages. How can you say that so that it's a little easier to understand? Someone said the president wants documents to be 20 pages or less. Someone said new guidelines restrict documents to 20 pages or less.
Sorry.
And we had put the president made new guidelines in the hope that departments will restrict the length of documents to 20 pages. Or the president made new guidelines to shorten the length of documents department submit to 20 pages.
I don't know that I like any of those. All right, it is time for our breakout room. We're going to practice and we are going to go to smaller groups and then come back together and talk. They're going to be about 5 minutes and just have a smaller conversation so you can type or talk in your group. So we will see you guys in 5 minutes.
Hey, one quick thing. I think we have to put in chat what this says, so when people leave, they can see it. So don't launch us yet, Jeremy. I'm typing it up.
Okay.
Sounds good.
Thanks, Jeremy. Thanks everyone for all their help and for being here.
Mhm. It's snowing here, so.
Yeah, it's fake snowing here. It's you can barely see it, and the ground is still clear.
Okay,
I
I just
love
put
the
it in
snow,
chat.
so I'm looking forward. All right, it's ready to go in the chat. Quick typing, thank you. All right, Jeremy, are we ready? Yes, we ready to go. So we'll see you all in the next room. So do we all click to go in a different room?
I think you and I can choose which room we go in.
Yeah, I was
Oh.
just gonna say, so I created them so that it was not with the co-hosts. But for Andy and if one of our interpreters wants to go with him, feel free. We had several other people who were going to be taking advantage of the ASL interpretation, but they are not here, and so we had kind of planned for folks to just hang out in the main room. So
Okay.
if people want to go in rooms, they are more than welcome to just pick one and hop
Hey,
in.
I noticed
Sure,
that.
I can join room number 3, Andy is saying.
Awesome. Oh,
Okay,
great.
yeah.
Make sure you
And
put the interpreters in there too.
Priscilla and Sydney, could somebody go to room 9? Because one person's in there by themselves.
I got it. I'm going to 9.
Awesome. Thank you.
And please
welcome.
put both interpreters.
Both interpreters into room 3.
Yes, please. Oh, or Andy's saying, or I can go in 9 otherwise if there's only one person. That's fine too. Just make sure the interpreters go with Andy.
Both of them.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, sounds good. Yes, so Andy joined 9, so I will put you both in 9 and see you in a minute.
Awesome.
Okay.
Thanks, Jeremy.
Yeah, of course.
Got it.
Okay, if anyone else that hasn't joined their room is having trouble or wants help, just feel free to come off mute and we can talk. Sydney, are you going to stay here? Oh, you're muted, sorry.
Yeah, I'm gonna stay here.
Okay.
I've never been on this side of the breakout rooms.
It's very exciting over here.
Mhm.
You know, it's interesting. It puts the Read AI meeting notes in a room.
Yeah, that's interesting. Should be interesting how the notes say what we did.
Yes, yes. Okay, so it's 11:46. So let's bring people back. Maybe like at 11:50, we can put a note, we can broadcast to them.
Okay.
like 2
Yeah.
more minutes or something?
Yeah, I can do that. I also just broadcast the make it clear message they're supposed to be
Oh,
working on, just to make
thank
sure
you.
they had it. Yeah, yeah. You never know with the chat. Sometimes it's wonky.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Jeremy, are you still there?
Yes.
Actually, let's put Zachary, welcome Zachary, in room 9, please.
Sounds good.
Thank you. I just realized I could have done it, but thank you.
Yeah, yeah, of course. I'm here. Do you want me to broadcast a message letting people know that we'll bring them back at 11:50?
Sure.
All right. All right, I just sent the 60-second countdown, so people should start coming back in the next minute.
Thank you.
The interpreters and Zachary and Andy will need a few moments to repin. Zachary has joined us, so if he could please have co-hosting abilities as well. Thank you. Yeah, just a moment, please. This gets challenging.
No problem. I just made him co-host.
Thank you so much. Now we're repinning, so we have to find everybody. There we go.
All wonder how long I've been muted. I'm hoping I didn't just talk my way through the session and couldn't nobody hear me. No, because we were talking back and forth. I don't know how it muted itself, but glad to be back on.
Okay. Donna, are you set? Are you all pinned and ready to go?
No, I have one more
Okay.
pin.
Okay. I'm set, so when you're set, let them know. Thank you all for your patience.
No problem.
I'm set. I'm ready to go. Thank you for waiting. I'm
Oh,
ready,
You
Priscilla.
are welcome. Thanks everyone for being a part of those breakout rooms. Hopefully you all were able to talk and go through this together. So when you're at home in an even smaller group, just you or one-on-one with another person, that you're able to think, and if they put it like this, maybe in your head you can change it, or just knowing that when you're writing a document or you're saying something, that you want to make it as clear as possible. All right. We can do the next slide.
Okay. So the one on the left is an example of something not in plain language, and it's about conjunctivitis. And it says you have contracted conjunctivitis. This is an inflammation or swelling of the conjunctiva, often called pink eye. Conjunctivitis is a common eye disease. It may affect one or both eyes. Some forms of conjunctivitis are highly contagious. You have bacterial conjunctivitis, which you need to treat with prescription eye drops from the pharmacy. Follow the directions on the bottle. It may improve after 3 or 4 days of treatment, but you need to take the entire course of antibiotics to prevent reoccurrence. Good hygiene is important also. And then the one on the right is in plain language, and you can see they added white space and bullet points. And it says pink eye. You have an eye infection called pink eye. To make it go away, you need to get eye drops from the drugstore. Squeeze eye drops into your infected eye 3 times per day. Breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Use the eye drops until they're gone. Pink eye is really easy to accidentally give to another person. To keep this from happening, wash your hands after you use the drops and before you touch another person, like shaking hands. So which one do you, if you were at the doctor and you had this happen, which one would you understand?
I definitely need the plain language because conjunctivitis, I'm like, am I gonna die? Like, what is this? Can I get rid of it before I even get to the inflammation? The contracted conjunctivitis would throw me for a good loop. Someone said in the chat that it would be nice to know that it's called conjunctivitis, and that is nice to know when someone else is saying it. So pink eye with conjunctivitis in parentheses would be great, like they do with the medication, the generic and the name brand to the side. So that is a good point. That it's nice to know the word or to see it, to know that when other people are saying that for it, that it is a thing. So let me check the chat and see. I like the bullet points. I like the bullet points and my computer and these fancies. Let me tap it so I can see. Hold on. Okay. I like the bullet points
To
and the
add
bold
something.
on the plain language.
I'd
Go
love to
ahead.
add, just sec, this is Andy. I'd love to add something. Sorry to interrupt, Priscilla.
That's okay.
I have just maybe a little bit of a question for you, Priscilla, for
Okay.
the plain language example. If you have an eye infection called pink eye, and then do a paren and put the real name conjunctivitis. Is that what you're suggesting? You think that's
Yes. Or the other way around, the conjunctivitis and then pink eye in parentheses. But either way,
Yeah, either way. Because I
Mhm.
know that pink eye is kind of a common name for it that
Mhm.
people understand, but it's also good to educate people what the actual name is.
Right.
Term, especially medical vocabulary that comes up. You can just keep that in the back of your mind. Then when you see that blah, 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 blah word, you know that,
Mm-hmm.
right?
That is a very good point. Because as much as my children have
Thank
had,
you.
or people I know have had, pink eye, I really haven't paid attention that that's what it's called. So someone would have said that, I would have, what's that? And I contracted it, like, what?
Me too. Me too, Priscilla. We are exactly in the same boat. And I learned something new from you, Miss Priscilla.
Well, I'm glad we are learning, learning.
Absolutely. Go to town.
Okay. Okay, we can go to the next slide. That was all that was in the chat. Okay, examples of a picture showing brainstorming. A brainstorming. I am laughing because we do the graphics and yeah, it's funny to put things in graphics and to know what it reminds some people of and then what we get out of it. It's interesting. Okay, so the first picture, this doesn't show what brainstorming looks like in real life. So, it's a light bulb, your brain's doing it. This is how it feels in my head, actually, when I'm brainstorming. But the next picture, this picture shows what it looks like when people brainstorm ideas. We sit at a table, we talk, we look at him with the paddle in his hand. We bounce these ideas off of each other to get a better idea. Um,
Yeah, we like to put things how they should sound literally.
mhm. All right. Here is an example of using questions to show the main idea. A letter about food share benefits may have the outline of main ideas in question form. What is food share? What does benefits mean? Who can get food share benefits? I like all those.
So a good layout tip is to put images on the left and align text box to the left. This means that the words line up on the left of this page. Sometimes it's hard to read when things are center justified or like line up on the right. And people tend to read left to right anyway.
Okay. And we have a chat that says maybe the light bulb graphic is better for bright idea instead of brainstorming. That would be a good one for bright idea. Yeah, it definitely would be good for that one as well. Sydney, sharing that last one, working with her on getting things together. I have learned so much with where to put things in a box and aligning, and it looks better and understanding better because what looked nice and pretty to me was not easy to read. So now that we are working together, getting the boxes and alignments and seeing how people actually read or see them, it makes a world of difference. And hopefully the information we're getting out with our teams, it'll be easier for people to see, learn, and pass the information on.
This is Andy. Priscilla, I just want to let you know too that when I first look at this, I see pictures on the left and then it's, Donna, help me out.
This side, though it's supposed to be in plain language, is not plain to me or easy to read. To me, the text should be on the left and then kind of aligned then the picture maybe to the right, because I could understand that more completely than this, the way it's laid out. The picture on the left, left, I'm not sure. So, maybe to me, I would move it over as an example, just to see how that would look, or put it above and then put the description below. That might do it.
Yeah, though.
The picture above and the description below might, because then it shows that it goes together, because this to me
Mhm.
is oozing.
Yeah, so with this actual picture, it's showing you like where the buttons and things are, but when we do the actual the actual layout, because when I see the line, center, justify, all those
Yes,
things, when you're
yes.
writing a page, it really doesn't have pictures to begin with. So I just use those to write a paper. So now that we're doing graphics and
Ah,
pictures, we kind of put it on the page and see which is friendly, but everyone's brain or eyes see things differently. So we do switch them up, and people have to switch it up because that's what everybody's so unique, and you don't know what's easier to read or harder, but making it so people can understand. But definitely do what works best for you. Um, but
mhm.
trying new things or doing it. But it's nice to know that for you, that's how you see things, and it's easier for you that way.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, we have coworkers, and we
Yes,
see things
absolutely.
one way, and then they
Yeah,
they see it another
absolutely.
way, and we have to meet in the middle. So sometimes we do it what's easier for her, and then we vote, and then we do it the other way for us. So, yep, we definitely get it.
Absolutely. We all are radically different.
Mm-hmm. Okay, Sydney, are you ready?
So, are my strategies working? Look for signs that people understand. If you are face to face, check people's body language to see if they are engaged. Some signs are eye contact, nodding their head, or are they looking at their phones, and are they asking questions? Um, yeah, it's like when you're presenting or if you're with people, you can usually tell if people are understanding if you're saying or if they're like toning you out. And if you notice that they're toning you out, you can ask, did you hear what I say? Did you hear what I said? Or are you listening? And if they missed what you said or if what you said was too confusing, you can always repeat or change how you said it.
One of the good examples that I just want to share with this is we are doing a training, and the introduction had big fancy words, and we were all like, what does this mean? Like, what are we getting ready to do? So just in the name of the training threw us all off. So on the first day, we showed up, but our faces looked like, what are we doing? But as we're going through it, the information is easier to read. But even when we're making titles, we have to be careful because people cannot listen before they even get started or have a negative thought about what we're getting ready to do, talk about, read ahead of time. So just being mindful that those things are so important when we're trying to make sure that the people are getting the information. Okay, I'm done.
Keep asking, are my plain language steps working? Some other ways to know if people understand are ask a person or persons with a disability if your document is clear. You can also use polls or surveys and ask people what is working and if they understand your document. Ask people questions, and you can also run your written materials through a screen reader. Are my steps working? For written materials, notice the responses you are getting. Are people calling with questions? Are people doing what was asked of them? Do you have a high answer rate? If not, they might not understand. Some accessibility strategies. Awesome.
Accessibility alt text. Add alt, which is alternative text. Describe whatever images you have on the post or graphic. Add captions to all videos. So Sydney's really good at this. When she was first doing it, I'm like, why is she describing what's on the picture? Why is she describing what's on the picture? But it's nice to have an alternative that when you see a picture or words are in to get a descriptive. So everyone, whatever they're reading, visually, hearing, whatever it is, that everybody has the opportunity to get the information. So the accessible legend checklist in the message body, be sure your message is clear. Uses headings, bullet points, or paragraph to structure content. Avoid acronyms and jargon. Images. Add alt text, a short description of the image. Love how Sydney does that. Add images, add image description, a more descriptive description of the image. Add to the message body or pinned comment. The color contrast, which I've learned so much on this journey. It's important because some things are harder on the eyes, and it makes it harder to understand. For me, I struggle with migraines, so certain colors confuse in my brain, and it mixes up the words, and I can't understand it. So I can only imagine for other people that it may be the same thing. I didn't know it was a thing until doing this work. I learned that it's not just me, that it's an actual thing. So when you're writing things, we like pretty colors. We like to do it all different and make it look nice. But if we're doing plain language, we have to be mindful. So be sure the text and image is readable.
Andy
Use
has
a
a
color.
hand raised, just so you know.
Oh, go ahead.
Sure, great. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Yes, this is Andy. I want to just let you know too that it's important to make sure that videos are captioned. As you said, I absolutely agree with that. But also to know that there's different ways of adding those captions. One of the ways is the automatic captions that you do see that come up on videos, but they are not always very readable. Sometimes they spell things wrong and the concept is wrong, and we'll see that happen. I've seen, for example, the word deaf, and it was captioned as dead. So deaf people obviously are not dead people. And so that changes the meaning of the message when things are misheard even by the machine. So it's really important that if you're adding captions to different videos, I would suggest that you go ahead and do some sort of preview or test ahead of time to make sure that those captions are actually accurate. They can also be added post-production, making sure that if
When
you're
it's
doing any kind of
archived.
archived videos, that you're watching to make sure that there's not information missing, because even little misses can make big misunderstandings. And then we don't have equitability and access, and we're misleading people and misinforming them.
Because
Or
the text is not there, because there are missing pieces in the video.
right. So we have to think, what is this for? And remembering that it's really important that we have these captions and that they're accurate. So as I said, post-production can sometimes happen. So we want to make sure that we're making things easy but understandable for people as well, and accessible, and be mindful about, as you said, adding those captions, but being aware of in what way we're doing that. So,
And that they're actually effective.
Right. Thanks, and thanks both of you for adding those in there. And the video part was in there, and I'm learning something new as well as that. So the color contrast, we're gonna go back to use a color
and that's what
contrast
we're here
checker.
for, right? We're here to teach each
Yes.
other. So that's
Yes.
great.
I love learning every day, and on this, I'm learning quite a few things today. So I'm excited about that. Um, Use a color contrast checker to ensure the color ratio is accessible, such as WebAIM's contrast checker or similar. Just learning this year. And then we talked about the videos, which was very important. And I didn't know you can manually go in and edit it, but I do see all the errors. And then because I talk with the list, my words come out and they're not right. So people that have accents, people who pronounce words differently, all of those matter. So going in and making sure that those videos are updated with the words so all of us can have access, because sometimes for me, hearing things with my brain, it scrambles on screen. But if I read it, read it or have it read to me, I want it to be right. I want it to be right. And then it says, don't replace words with emojis.
Yeah, because with the
I'm
screen reader, people read whatever emoji it is rather than, I don't know.
Mhm.
Oh my God, that is so, so, so darn true. Holy cow.
The new age of things, emojis. I don't know when it's going to die down, but it is so popular right now. We need to not overuse emojis, period, not just for plain language. Um, and it says do not use them to start a sentence. So hashtags, I learned this year as well. Thanks again, Sydney. So use camel case or Paxel case hashtags, hashtag like this with the capitals, or like this. The capitalizing the first letter of each word, it makes it so much easier to read. And I don't know how many of you do Facebook, but I never understood what the hashtags were because they're all one word, they're all the same thing, they're long, and I don't understand. So now that I'm doing my business and trying to promote and do more, doing the capital letters, I can read what I'm writing and also try to figure out what they're saying. So, hashtags. It's easier to read for everyone. Remember Susan Boss, what does that say? Susan Boss's Flasco?
Yeah, the Susan Boyle's fiasco. I don't quite remember that, but
Maybe.
yeah.
Okay. All right. So next one, you can go ahead.
So camel case hashtags are easier for everyone to read, like Priscilla said. So they're like this. You can see where the T is capitalized in the second word, or like this, where both the L and the T are capitalized. So when your hashtags look like this, and it shows the example of hashtag puppy slaughter, they're not accessible for people with sight loss, neurodivergent people, and people with cognitive disabilities. But by using a capital letter for each new word in your hashtag like this, it says hashtag puppies laughter. You are
Mhm.
creating an equal and equitable user experience for everyone, and no puppies get killed.
Right. And so it's like, well, that's mean, and I'm not going any further. Right. Go
Um,
ahead.
So with accessibility is color contrast. So that is the difference between fonts and the backgrounds of images and graphics. So for example, if you had like a yellow background, you wouldn't try to use like a green or a orange font. It would be really hard to read. But if you were to use a black font, it would be a lot easier to read.
All right. Accessibility in plain language on social media fonts. So easy to read fonts. No one likes cat or dog. Cursive types or unusual fonts are hard for people or screen readers to read. Look, I am lost. Okay, easy to read font. No one likes cats or dogs. I don't remember what that means.
Because I had at one point cat and dog in cursive font, so it was really hard to read.
Oh, okay. Or unusual fonts are hard for people or screen readers to read. Screen readers do best with these fonts. Tom, and I said I was gonna let you read these because you read those words.
All right. Tahoma, Calabria, Electivia, Ariel, and Verdana. I personally like Ariel.
Yeah, talking about plain language, I wish the name of the fonts were in plain language. They're so difficult to read. I don't like choosing them.
So here's another good content checklist. So with the message body, try to write in plain language, use short paragraphs, avoid using acronyms and jargon, left align text whenever possible. Do not use a font generator because some of the font generated are not accessible, especially the ones that are really fancy. With images, add alt text. Remember to keep alt text short and factual. Add an image description. Image descriptions is more descriptive and includes things like color, texture, and backgrounds. Any text on a graphic or image should have sufficient color contrast.
Go ahead.
So with video, always use closed captions. They should appear at the bottom of a video. Use accessible fonts like Arial, Calibri, or Helactivia. Include a video descriptions to describe the video in the comments. Always manually check captions. Automated captions aren't always reliable. With emojis and hashtags, don't replace words with emojis. Don't overuse emojis. Do use emojis at the end of the sentence if you really need to use them. Do use a capital letter for each new word in a hashtag. And on the right, there's some examples of ways to add captions.
All right, check out these programs, Grammarly, for your computer and your phone. It can read your emails and then tell you what the other person is saying and suggest what you could say next. Hemingway apps and word apps. And there's an example of what that looks like in the picture.
Some ways to get more people to use these strategies.
People First of Wisconsin received a grant. People First Wisconsin received an American Rescue Plan Act, ARPA grant for $113,010. Yay! The grant team created 2 guides and will offer services to improve communication between home and community-based services providers and organizations and people with disability. Amazing. Self-advocate leaders created these guides. Plain Language Guide will help agency organizations and individuals with disabilities have access to plain language services and documents. The Kindness Guide will help service workers and agencies use kindness when talking to people with disabilities in place where they can lead safe, free, and happy lives. It has been amazing working on the team to create these guides and looking forward to seeing all the work out there and all the lives that it'll change because it's so important. People don't stop to think about some things. Life just goes on. And in the world that we're living in now, we needed to put it in writing. Put it in writing and share the information. So there's links in the chat to where you can get a copy of these guides.
Services People First Wisconsin self-advocate leaders will soon offer. People First will offer plain language services for a fee to other organizations and agencies. We'll also offer trainings to inform providers about the need for plain language. We'll also offer trainings to providers about using the kindness perspective when working with people with disabilities. We will charge fees for some of these professional services to pay self-advocate leaders for that work.
Playing language with work and people first. Speaker series, emails, grant work, know your rights guides, and voting rights. They're all great. Great, great, great. If you have not checked them out, go check them out.
So plain language with my work with the Art Wisconsin. I run a class called the Art of Storytelling class, and I try to keep everything I teach in plain language. And when I'm on national calls or trainings with the ARC National, I try to ask for things to be in plain language, or I ask in chat for things to be better explained. So plain language in my social media disability advocacy. So I have the following Facebook pages: Sydney's Disability Advocacy Journey and Writing Through Unique Lens. And I try to keep my posts in plain language. And I also run a group called Wisconsin Disability Connections.
What can I do to advocate for more plain language? Speak up. It's simple. Speak up, use these steps, and share the resources. So, everyone, please speak up. Speak up. We need this.
Speak up. It's okay and important to say something when you don't understand something you hear or read. Demand to understand. If you are in a meeting, take notes on what you don't understand and email the speaker later to ask them to clarify what they mean. Ask people to put materials into plain language. Most people don't know what plain language means. This is your chance to teach them. In virtual meetings, consider putting in chat what acronyms and jargon stand for when used by the speaker.
Use plain language steps. The best language to use is the language people can understand. Examine your work. You might have to speak up. Remember that you are writing to express, not impress. You don't have to prove you are smart by using big words. You are smart. Understand that it can be hard to speak up. As a speaker, it's on you to make sure your audience understands.
These are some resources that you can check out when we send out the PowerPoint, and if you want to watch the recording back.
Lots of links, lots of tools. The things that we've talked about are on these last pages. So if you don't want to go through the PowerPoint, you can get right to the last pages and get to the links that you all want to use or make copies of to share with people. It would be nice to give the whole PowerPoint, but even if you are having the conversation and you just want to tell them about a specific one, you can go in and click on it or share that with them and then show them how it works.
And some more resources on accessibility and social media.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you for spending this time with us. Does anyone have any questions? You are welcome, Jean. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm glad you found the information useful. Do you have advice on how to get agencies to use plain language? How do we complain when agencies that serve people with disability don't write in plain language? That was from Rachel. You are welcome, Jean.
Andy, this is Andy. I just love to say I want to thank you so very much for both of you for this webinar. I really learned quite a bit and I really appreciate it.
Oh, you are welcome. You are very welcome. I'm glad that it was useful information. Sydney, do you have any advice on how to get agencies to use the plain language?
Uh, maybe teach them what benefits would come from using plain language, especially when working with people with disabilities. Um, have self-advocates talk to the agencies.
Cindy, I'd like to add something. This is Andy. I have another suggestion or justification
Okay.
to give them. Because they are not everyone learns English at the same, English is not everyone's first language. There's a lot of people that English is their second or third language. So if the people, the powers that be want to make sure that everything is really understandable and they reach the largest audience, that's another justification for using plain language, because they will maybe then those folks they're trying to reach will listen to them because they will understand what their point of view is. And if they don't want to change it to plain language, the powers that be don't want to, it's their loss.
Right. And then we have where you can contact people first, and we are looking for documents that need to be put in plain language as part of what we do as a team. So you can email and say, hey, maybe you guys want to look at this and possibly suggest that it be changed. If someone's struggling and you know they're struggling with it, reach out to us, because we're looking for things to change to make everything easier. Because people that don't speak up, it still need, even if you're the smartest person in the world and you don't have a disability, you don't want to read all that. You read a book in your spare time when you're trying to get information and documents read and done correctly. You just want to get to the point. Or at least that's my perspective. Those are my thoughts.
I
let me check the
agree,
chat.
wholeheartedly agree.
Okay, so Martha says sometimes there's a worry that plain language won't stand up in court sort of proceedings, and so legal jargon is used. In court, attorneys, that's what they're supposed to do, but when we're talking to our attorneys, they should be explaining in our words, and also when we're on when we're up there talking for ourselves, we get to talk in plain language. We don't have to pretend to be an attorney. We didn't go to school for that, and we get to make plain language plain to everyone in the room. So legal jargon, hire an attorney or someone who does that. That's their job. And when it's our turn to speak, or when they're speaking to us, make sure that when they use those words, they explain what they're saying for us and make sure they're the same thing. Okay, any other questions? And we are encouraging everyone to advocate, not just for ourselves, but for everyone. If you see someone that's struggling or needs help in plain language, reach out. Reach out. Send us an email. You can get us involved. We're trying to get more advocates on board so we can have people that have a voice. We're using our voice. People like us. We're not letting people do the fight for us without us saying anything. We want to change, make a change, and put in the work.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. You're welcome. So thanks, everyone. Sydney, would you like to add anything
Thank you
else
so
before we
much.
go? You're so
Thank you so
welcome.
much. The interpreter,
You're
that's fun. Thank
Yeah.
you for that.
Yes, thank you
Thank
for
you.
everyone that supported us today as well. Thanks for coming.
Bye-bye.
All right, bye, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Bye-bye.
Bye.